I'm Devorah Wallen, and I'd like to share my Tea for Two, my Torah thought, for 2 minutes, more or less. This week's Torah portion is Tetzaveh, which means you shall command, referring to God's instruction to Moshe to tell the Kohanim, or priests, to do their service in the sanctuary, including descriptions of the garments and accoutrements. Friday is Purim, and although this Tea for Two could be a Tea for 20 with parallels between Purim and the Parsha, I wanted to bring up one fascinating parallel I thought about and then to share a more universal concept. This is the only portion where Moshe is clearly a presence in the portion, but his name is not mentioned. Similarly, God's name is not mentioned in the Megillah that we read on Purim either. The word melech, king, however, is found often and is a code for Hashem's hidden presence. The miracles of the Purim story were totally concealed and hidden. Some commentators say the name Esther is related to God's statement, Hester astir panim, I will utterly conceal myself. Now, back to the Parsha. The Kohanim were responsible for representing the Jewish people, assisting us in atoning through the offerings brought to them, as well as rituals they needed to perform on our behalf. The Kohen Gadol, the high priest, would wear a special garment when he entered the Kodesh HaKodashim, the innermost holy sanctum. It was a long robe that covered his legs. On the bottom hem of the robe were ornaments and bells shaped like pomegranates that would shake and sound as he entered the holy chamber. Apparently, the details of the priestly garments were so significant. About them, the verse states, "And they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons when they enter the tent of meeting, or when they approach the altar to minister in the holy place, so that they not bear iniquity and die." Apparently, when the Kohen Gadol was not sincere in his service, he would literally die in the Holy of Holies and would need to be removed. The Zohar comments that they would tie a rope to the priest's foot so that they could pull him out if he died while inside. The Kohen's authenticity would be proven when he left the Holy of Holies alive. His survival meant a victory for the Jewish people as well. On the bottom hem of the robe were ornaments and bells shaped like pomegranates that would shake and sound as he entered and exited the holy chamber. One might think that when the high priest, representing the whole Jewish people at holy times, entering into the holiest place in the world, facing Hashem alone, it might be more appropriate to enter in silence, no? After all, he needs to be composed and in the moment to plead for the whole people. It would seem that by entering in calm, quiet tranquility, that would be preferable. The Torah teaches us the opposite is true. The Lubavitcher Rebbe explains, discussing the opinions of Rashi and the Ramban, that there are two manners of serving Hashem. One is with clamor and energy, intensity and noise, and the other one is quiet, calm, with modest humility. The Rebbe explains that these two types of service are both necessary. The first is when a person feels far from God. To traverse that distance, the penitent needs to have strength, energy, and alacrity. Often, an obstacle needs to be broken through, and the gap is better able to be bridged. Emotion and commotion are needed to shake us from complacency and distance. On the other hand, when a person feels connected with Hashem and he is on a good and consistent path, his service can be gentler, calmer, continuous, and incremental. But since the Kohen Gadol remains holy and sin-free, why did he have to wear these noisy bells? On Yom Kippur, in contrast to the regular service, he wears white, and there is no tolling of the bells. Similarly, on Yom Kippur, we are like angels, and we also wear white. It's true that the personal and private observances of someone like the Kohen Gadol would be better represented by calm and steady, quiet service. Nonetheless, whether his own personal level was lofty or not, it didn't matter. His responsibility to Klal Yisrael requires his mindful awareness, so the racket at the bottom of his garment prevents this. He still must remember to connect with and represent those of us who may have strayed far afield, lowly, like the bells. It is for our sake that the Kohen needs his notification setting on continuously during his service. Thus, throughout the year, when the Kohen wears the robe with the pomegranates, it sounds as he enters. These days in our long history are called Ikvisa de Mashiach, the heels of Mashiach. We are a lost and lowly generation in need of redemption and transformation, as in the times of Purim. In the last throes of exile, we are like the lowest part of the Kohen's garment. This is a time that we need to make a great noise and clamor, to prepare ourselves for the ultimate time when the great noise of the shofar will be heard proclaiming the coming of Mashiach. May it be speedily in our days.